Hi, it's Jerry here. We finally got some warm weather, and with the warm weather, guess what we got? Those dreaded, horrible, aggravating, nuisance black sugar ants. I'm going to give you some tips today on how you can keep them out of your RV. So Jerry here with I Love RV Life. I want to give you a great tip. I learned this from, of all people, my grandfather, who was a big gardener. He had a big garden. He had the fruits and vegetables out behind the garage and had the pretty rose bushes and all those types of things that good gardeners have. And he had to do something to keep the insects away. And I'm going to show you a couple tricks of what we can do inside and outside the RV to keep these black sugar ants. Now, we camp a lot in state parks, Corps of Engineer parks. We love to go to the coast. Oh my goodness, we love to go to the coast, especially Florida, the coast of Georgia, South Carolina. We're going to be going up into North Carolina this year as well. But one of the things you see in these hot, humid, and sandy areas, and when you get into the wooded areas, you get these, we call them here in the South, we call them sugar ants. It's those small little teeny black ants. And when you get into these very remote wooded areas, they will take your camper over. If you camp more than once, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, I'll start with just some of the basics. Keeping the kitchen clean, goes without saying. Joan's a big tea drinker. Again, we're from the South. She loves her sweet tea. One of the things you have to be careful is when you make sweet tea, you use sugar. And any of that sugar overflow or leaving even just something as simple as leaving a glass out overnight with sugared tea can attract them inside. All it takes is one, and then wow, do they bring in the whole family. So that's one thing you need to be careful of, but I think we all know that enough about that. So I want to share two things with you. One, what do you do on the outside? If I know that we're going into an area that we really suspect that it's going to be a high ant concentration, we do our best to keep them from ever coming inside the camper. Now, what I'm going to share with you, I don't think is controversial, but I think it's better than some of the homemade solutions, quote, organic solutions that are out there. And I'm not knocking those. If those work for you, fantastic. I'm glad they do. We've got kitties that run around on the inside, and the last thing that I want to do is put anything on the inside of the camper that could harm one of my mink or molly. I'm just not going to do it. And I know some of these solutions call for a borax, and you can find them on YouTube, or you can search the web, mixing a borax powder and some powdered sugar together, and you put those in the corner. And I'm just not going to do that. Again, I don't want the kitties into it, and really I think the sugar actually attracts them inside, even though I know it will kill them. So we're going to do everything that we can do to keep outside. Granddad had a solution that he used in the garden, and it's called, I'll show this to you, it's called 5% Sevens dust, okay? This is an insecticide. It is an insecticide. As with any insecticide, you've got to treat it with care. You can't ingest it. You don't want to use it to where small children can get into it. But let's face it, what many of us do is once we get ants inside, what is the first thing that we do? We go get the spray can of Raid or whatever the product is that we're using, and we just hose down every crack, every crevice. I know some of you are smiling or even frowning right now because you've had to do it, because they just absolutely took us over. And again, I think that can cause some harm. I know it has to be done, but I think that it can cause some harm. Fumes all over the area. Then you've got to get, you got to pull everything out of the cabinets. And then the next thing you've got to do is let everything dry, and you got to get in there with soapy water and clean everything out. Or what if we just keep the ants out from coming inside altogether? That's where the Sevens dust comes in. It's a 5% Sevens dust. It's a white powder. It's very, very easy to use. So let's go outside, and I'll show you how we use this. And I will share with you, we were in Florida last year. We were over by the beach. And we had a next door neighbor that just came out, and he was just absolutely frightful. He said the black ants had just completely taken him over. He said, how about you? Are you having troubles with them? No. I showed him the Sevens dust. I showed him what I do to be able to treat with the smallest impact possible around the camper, and we do not have sugar ants. Here's what happens afterwards after you treat it. It might rain. I might get lazy and not go back out the next day or so. And if it's a really aggressive place with ants, we may have a chance to where we'll get them inside. But I'll show you tips for that as well. So let's go outside. I'm going to show you what we do with this. Again, minimal impact. And I'm going to be very, very careful. If you've got small children, you want to keep them away from this. You don't want them to get it in your hands, but hopefully they're not going to be crawling in and around up underneath the camper. So, you know, you're going to take good care if you've got kids that are going to be doing that type of thing. You want to keep them away from your landing gear. They probably shouldn't be there anyway. You want to keep them away from your electrical cord, the water line, the sewer line. You probably don't want them playing there anyway. So where we're going to treat, more than likely, we're going to keep the kids away from a place like that. So we got our grandbabies out, we bring them around, we show them keep away from this little bit of powder right here. Everything's going to be happy and we've never had an issue. Let's go outside, I'll show you how we use this. So this is one of the first areas you need to be concerned with when you come out to treat all the, what I call landing gear, your supports that you use to you know, level out your camper, your RV, whatever you've got, whether you've got crank downs or hydraulic jacks or electric jacks like we have. So right here I've got the shoe that you'll see, and I'm just going to take a little bit of this dust and put just a small amount, and I'm going to cover all the areas of the shoe. And that's about all. You can see what small amount that I used. It just takes maybe, that might have been a half a teaspoon that I just put right here on the shoe. I don't put it all over the ground here, and just keep it in one that spot. And in more times than not, even if it rains, because we've got the overhead here, this won't even wash away. So if I'm at a location for a week or 2 weeks or a month, it's rarely that I ever come back and treat this area again. So I'll do this one, and then I'll go over here and do the other shoe as well, and I'll get that taken care of. So that's point number one. Point number two is going to be these stabilizers. These stabilizers are on the back of the camper. Some people have electric ones like we have. Some you might have the self-leveling hydraulics that I was showing you on the front, where ours are electric, some are hydraulic. Or you might have the camp outs. They too have the shoe. And I'll put this here as well. So you'll notice I'm going to put this on the front and back. I've got a noisy puppy next door. But I'm going to put this on the front and back, and you'll see, again, I don't use very, very much, and I'm just going to get this one little area here taken care of, and then that's all we need to take care of. Right here where your electrical cable comes into your camper, I'm not going to bother putting it anywhere else. I'm just going to put it right here on the ground on this concrete, or whether you're in the dirt, I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit right here on the cable and just around the edge, and this will keep them from coming and building a trail coming up here. So I'll just put just a little bit right around in here. Again, about a quarter of a teaspoon, not much more than that, and that'll take care of that business as well. We forget about this area too. Many times we don't think about the ants crawling up your tires. And look, if they can find a spot to crawl up, they're going to do it. So I'm just going to take and put me just a small amount around my tires, all around the tires. Probably of any area that you treat, this will be one of those areas that after it rains you'll probably have to go again. But I'm going to put this all the way around all four tires, front and back, and I'm going to do this all the way around on this tire, the tandem that's behind it, and then I'll go over on the other side and I'll do that as well. Again, this amount right here will last me maybe a whole season, a whole summer season. It doesn't take much. Very, very teeny amount. Just, it's called 7 dust, and that's all you're doing. You're just going to kind of dust this area just like you would with a salt shaker. Put that small amount there. Everything will keep those little bad sugar ants. It'll keep them from coming from inside. It's fantastic stuff. The last area I'm going to treat is right here at the water hose and at the sewer hose. And again, I'm going to come just as close as I can to where the ants might be crawling up. And I'm going to put a little bit here in this area. A little bit on the hose, a little bit on the bottom, a little bit, just kind of make a little circle, a little spoonful. We'll do the same thing with the water hose. Just a small little teeny amount, and that's all it takes. If they do walk on it, they'll get it on them. They're gone. It's not like this real horrible poison, but they'll get on it. It'll deter them. It'll kill some of them. The rest of them, after a while, they just go away and you won't have any more problems. And this will keep them from coming in up your sewer line and up your water line. So we're back inside now. You've seen what we do on the outside, and I will share this with you. I'm not going to say that it's 100% effective, but it's close. I would give it in the very, very high 90s that when you use this Sevens dust and you put it around every, let's just call it on-ramp inside coming into your camper. If you put this stuff out there, especially if you're going to be there for several weeks. We'll go somewhere where they're a week or two, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Last year in Florida we spent 2 months, and we use this on a regular basis, especially after it rained. And again, small amount, a little bit goes a long way. It doesn't take much. But we did have an instance once to where it had rained. A couple days had gone by, the ground was wet. I didn't go back out and treat, and I walked outside, I looked, and there were those black ants literally crawling right up the front landing gear coming inside the camper. I came inside, started looking around. We've got kitties in here, and they were starting to congregate around the food dish. It's going to happen. It's going to happen if you don't treat with something like this on the outside to keep them from coming in. But it was an easy fix. This is what we use, and the reason we use this is, I'll show it to you in the camera. You can buy this anywhere. You can buy it at Walmart. You can buy it at all your big box stores carry it. It's a very basic product. I'll show you how we use it. We use this for a couple reasons. Again, because it's kid and kitty friendly. It really is. It works great. I don't have to worry about the kitties getting into this and ingesting anything. If anything, they'll use it as a play toy. But they don't do that as much if I keep them occupied with their catnip mouse and catnip fish, so we don't have a problem with it. So when you open this up, this is the product. This is what it looks like. It's this little plastic puck. It's not focusing too well. I'll apologize for that. With a little hole. And inside that hole is kind of like a hardened product that again it's not like it doesn't have a smell to it really. I mean, I think the plastic has more of a smell than anything else. And we will put these in several corners. We'll put them around the doorway. We will put them over the corner where the kitty dish is. And I think most important, we put them over in the corners where the slide is located, where you know those little cracks come in and could possibly get an ant. These things are just a couple bucks for a whole box, and they're incredible. If you do get some ants that come in, and if the ants are eating, they'll crawl inside this little hole right here, and they'll start eating that stuff. We all have a tendency of, oh my gosh, we've got ants in the camper, we've got to get them out, get the spray, just hose the place down, turn it into a toxic waste dump. I know, I've done it. But what you have to be doing is just give a little bit of discipline and just let them eat it. They will eat it, and my understanding is after they eat this stuff, it gets all over them. They'll go back into their ant beds, wherever they're at, and it will kind of rub off on the other ants as well, and I think they explode. I think it's got we talked about the borax treatment. I think it's got like a borax treatment in this, and they will eat it. And you can tell if they're getting eaten, if they've been there for a while, it'll get a little bit of a dust on top of it. But we use these in all the corners, and on rare occasion, you'll see a little trail where they have come in, and we just back off. The good thing about it is this is more attractive than anything else that's in the camper, and they will eat this like crazy for about 24 hours, and then you'll go back and you'll see, let's say we saw them this morning, you'll get up the next morning and you'll come and look in a little corner, it'll be about half as many, and usually by the next day they're gone. They're gone, and you won't have them anymore. It's just an amazing product. This is Amdro, and it says kills ants, ant killing bait. And we use it like crazy. Again, it's very kitty friendly. I'm assuming it's going to be puppy friendly, and it's kid friendly. I don't have to worry about it. We've got them in corners all over the place, and we'll have that all summer long, and that gets rid of them. That is the end of that business. So I hope you find this helpful. One other thing that we'll do is if we pull into the campground And as I'm putting this out, I didn't mention this earlier, if I'm putting this around the post, and as I'm walking around, if I look and see a little hole in the ground and I'm seeing a bunch of black ants pull out, pouring out from that hole, I will take maybe, if anything, a quarter of a teaspoon, and I'll just sprinkle it just around that hole and go around and catch a couple of those around the camper and go ahead and try to put that source at bay. And you'll go out in about 24 hours, 48 hours, and they're gone. That's the end of that business. It doesn't have anything to do with it. So again, this is called Sevens Dust 5. I think I bought this at Lowe's. I know I bought it at Lowe's. I bought it at Home Depot. You may even be able to buy it in the garden section of Walmart. I would not be surprised. It's a very common product. Read the directions. Look at the warnings and the hazards that are there. If you feel comfortable using something like this, it will get rid of the ants. It is tried and true. We use it all the time. And again, I know there's some natural solutions out there, and I'm probably going to get some comments here that goes, "Bad boy Jerry." But this is used in home gardens all over the United States. And I think if it's used safely, then it will not harm you. And I think really above everything else, it's better than bringing up that can of spray insecticide and hosing the inside of your camper out, or even the outside, and just getting that oily, poisonous stuff all over the place. So use this sparingly. Use it in those couple little entry spots that I showed you earlier. And I think you're going to have a much better camping experience and a lot less of those aggravating, worrisome, black, nasty, cruddy, terrible black sugar ants. And I think it'll be a lot better. I hope this is helpful for you as you start camping this spring and summer. And as always, even without these black ants, and even when I do find a few of them, I still love RV life.